May we begin with the opening statement of the Honorable Secretary on the IATF decision and on the new school calendar. Ma'am?
Good morning, members of the press, media, supporters, advocates of continuation of the learning process among our children, whatever is happening with the rest of the country and the rest of the world. We would like to share perhaps the most important news of all. It happened during the end of the week, and this is the resolution last Saturday of the IATF, which approved the submission of our learning continuity plan, and also approved the opening of classes for basic education on August 24, 2020, and ending on April 30, 2021. This is for academic school year ending 2021. As for private schools, this is a frequently asked question. As for private schools, they will be allowed because they have declared readiness, some of them, within the period provided by law. Law provides that schools will open first Monday of June and last Monday of August. However, they should submit their school learning continuity plan, which we want to be sure is also within the framework of our overall national learning continuity plan. And also it must be emphasized, because parents are very anxious, no face-to-face classes will be allowed earlier than August 24, 2030. And from August 24, face-to-face learning shall only be allowed within the local risk severity grading permits, which will be issued by the IATF, and also subject to compliance with minimum health standards. So ulitin ko, final na ito. Hindi naman talaga final, because the events will influence the final opening of classes, pero we have to plan. Parents are asking questions. The community is asking questions because they want to have an idea of what is going to happen to learners and schools for the rest of the year. So ang opening ng classes is August 24. The ending will be on April 30. And then we have worked out the details of the school calendar. Private schools and maybe even public schools will be allowed to open within the period provided by law, because we have an existing law which states that first week of June up to last day of August will be will allow the opening of schools, formal opening of schools. Also, we have emphasized that when we say schools will formally open on August 24, it does not mean that all of these activities will be face-to-face. I want to repeat this again and again and again, because parents and public have always said that they will never allow their children to go to school, even if there is already opening of classes, because of the fears of the dangers of COVID. But we are saying that when we say schools will formally open, it does not necessarily mean what we say humorously as face-to-face. Hindi. Depending on how the different areas are classified by IATF, and also depending on the compliance of minimum health standards of the Department of Health. So ganon ang ating ruling. Now, as to the various learning delivery options, a lot of questions have been raised. I believe and I noticed that there is not much awareness of the degree to which Deped has already progressed in the offering of alternative delivery options. Even before COVID, Deped schools, some of those who are capable and also supported by local governments, as well as partners in education, have already been engaged in alternative delivery modes other than face to face. So it can be face to face, it can also be virtual, it can also be distance learning. And this would be what we describe as blended learning, a mix of face to face as well as other delivery options, distance learnings, and homeschooling. Um, by distance learning, we mean all the other traditional ways by which learning has been delivered outside of face to face. For example, we have noticed a frequent observation is that not everyone, not all places in the country have access to ICT or to platforms. Well, we also notice that there are more cell phones than humans in the Philippines, 173 million as of the latest count in a country of 100 million people. So cell phones can be a medium of transmission. And then we also have television. Many of us right now in the Philippines have access to television. And finally, if there are places where there is no television, we have the classic way of transmitting knowledge and news, which is radio. And these radio programs have been around since the time of your grandparents, those of you in the press conference. When MacArthur said he will return, he did not text. He said it over radio. When finally World War II was decisively finished, the byword at the time was the Eagles have landed. Hindi naman yung tinext, hindi naman yung tinivi. Radio naman. And many institutions, whether formal universities, colleges, and civil society groups, um, religious organizations, have always resorted to radio as a way by which knowledge is transmitted. For example, a good friend of mine, Father Francis Lucas, works with farmers, and lessons are transmitted on up-to-date farming via radio. This happens all the time, all over the country. And these are very effective ways of reaching people who don't have access to platforms, who don't have access to TV, who don't have cell phones, but they have radios. So it's not just learning platforms. By learning platforms, I would like to share also that Deped has developed what is now known as the Deped Commons. It is a platform for the transmission of learning. Nandoon yung mga lessons, nandoon yung mga learning resources, mga exams, mga teaching, new ways of teachings, etc. As of the latest tally, more than 6 million users now have access to Deped Commons. And so that's how popular, and it's still getting more and more popular, especially when we ask the teachers to report on June 1. Also, we regret to say that the activities of DepEd, which always involved national participation and are guaranteed crowd drawers, will be canceled in the meantime. These are science fairs. I feel quite sad about this because what children have come up with in senior high school, solutions to problems where they develop, which they develop through research and so on, will not be continued. Showcase of portfolios for those who are in the arts, and arts, whether dancing or singing or music, trade fairs where children also display their products, and school sports. Sports draw thousands and thousands of people from all over the country. The last Palarong Pambansa brought in more than 30,000 people to Davao alone. And this year's Palaro, which is scheduled for to be held in Marikina, will have to be canceled in the meantime. Those of you who have fond memories of participating, for example, in campus journalism contests, will have to forego that this year. And unless, and I talked with one reporter last yesterday, and he was discussing the possibility of having these journalism contests via platforms again. The Festival of Talents, which I consider very exciting and very inspiring, where you have dances, singing, and street activities, job fairs, which are also very popular with senior high school kids. And all of these are cancelled except those which are conducted online or by TV or by radio or by cell phone. Also, some good news, some more good news. Secretary Martin Andanar of PCOO has offered the use of the government's television and radio stations. They are expanding the scope and the reach of television and radio stations to implement the programs, the learning continuity program, especially for distance learning, where television and radio is the main way of transmitting learning. Many of you have been very anxious, because who should not be anxious? Who should not be afraid of COVID? But I would like to assure everyone, as I have presented to IATF, that we will observe all the guidelines. We will not allow schools to be open without the minimum, without compliance with the minimum standards of the Department of Health, without the classification that will allow them to open schools from IATF, and all the other precautions. And at this point, perhaps there will be greater appreciation for our reluctance for the use of the schools as parking areas, as for those who are suspect for PUIs and PUMs, and we are discouraging this unless there is an undertaking from the local government that all the precautions will be utilized, and also kailangan may assurance that after the use of our facilities will be thoroughly clean. So ayun, uh, we are now informing local governments in advance that we are opening on August 24. So we are slowing down on requests for the use of our classrooms, and it is actually happening. So we are implementing a safe back to schools program. We will not allow our children to go back to schools unless conditions are favorable. Now, distance learning will also be a major component of learning delivery, as earlier pointed out. Now, so we are working double time. If we work 10 hours, 12 hours a day in the EXICOM, in MANCOM, or Management Committee, involving all the regions and the superintendents, and also in the national committees, particularly the IATF. Uh, if we used to work 12 hours a day, we are now working 24 hours a day, because we cannot afford to be wasting the time of our children, of our teachers, and of our countrymen. Now, what are the highlights of our school calendar for school year 2020-2021? I've already said opening will be August 24. It can be virtual or it can be face-to-face, depending on compliance with standards. School year will end on April 30, 2021, and I am exercising the prerogative, if necessary, to authorize the conduct of distance learning activities on Saturdays. But if there are religious considerations, then we can consider Sundays as well. So in total, according to law, our school calendar should be composed of 203 school days, but not all of these will be spent in school. A significant number will be spent at home where students can do their homework, can do their studies, and teachers can also upskill uh, themselves. I've already said physical opening of schools will depend on risk severity grading and the guidelines of the Department of Health. So, pag sabihing August 24, it does not mean na physically opening sa lahat. And all of these will be authorized by the regional and the division offices. Division offices will recommend to the director, to the regional director, and regional director will finally approve. We have been talking with the private schools. They have indicated some organizations of private schools have indicated their interest in opening school in June. Again, we will allow them upon their presentation of their learning continuity programs, and also, if necessary, a showing of the facilities that they have for online delivery. Kasi yung mga June, kailangan wala talaga yung face-to-face at this particular time. No? So basta within the first Monday of June, but not later than the last day of August, pero may mga provided. Now, as for the teachers, teachers shall be rendering service starting June 1. You will recall that by April and May, they have had their 2 months summer vacation. And so they have to be on record already as reporting for work. Otherwise, we'll have horrendous administrative nightmare kung hindi sila mag-report for duty. But they will not necessarily be teaching kasi August 24 pa ang opening ng classes. They will be attending which orientation, training activities, which shall be organized by the regional directors, by the superintendents and principals. Distance learning delivery modalities. They will be preparing instructional materials, and they can also indicate when they report for work, they will not have to physically make an appearance. They will communicate with the principals, superintendents, and with the regional directors that they are already reporting for work. Now, if skeleton workforce is still operative in government, then we will issue the appropriate alternative work arrangement guidelines. But officially, they will be reporting on June. Otherwise, as I said, we will not have any basis for already rendering, giving to them their salaries as well as their benefits. Now, as to Brigada Escuela, which is always a fun day, and I have enjoyed these activities very much on regional, provincial, as well as national scale. It will be scheduled in September 2020, but there will be separate guidelines. We will not do it the way it used to be done before because there's so much face-to-face and activities, and social distancing is not practiced. Also, we'd like to encourage our very faithful supporters, contributors, donors, etc., to focus their gifts, to focus their contributions, perhaps from the usual backpack with paper, with pencil, and with notebook, to perhaps gadgets, if they can afford it, to perhaps other small things which will facilitate the practice of the various learning modalities that we are putting in place. At saka yung cleaning materials, for example, yung mga walis, and so on. Perhaps we can also consider other cleaning materials which will ensure that the schools will be ready, will be COVID free, especially those which have been used by used by local governments as parking stations for the PUMs and the PUIs. So there will be separate guidelines. This also goes to Oplan Talusugan. And then also the other efforts for community activities, we will always consult the schools, the learners, the administrators, and our teaching and non-teaching personnel. Uh, right now, we used to have once a month meetings for executive committee and management committee. Now we have them every week because technology makes it more convenient and faster to conduct meetings on um, daily, sometimes every other day. It's very easy to call now the members of our decision making family and the Deped because of the use of technology, of course, but it also means more work. Nonetheless, all our efforts depend very heavily on family and community support. One specific feature of our school year at this time is that we will be depending very heavily on the community, on the families, and on the parents, the lolos, the yayas, the tutors to assist the learners because some of the work will have to be done at home. Some of the lessons will be transmitted through different platforms, and some of these activities will be done at home. So education now becomes more and more a shared activity, and we ask the parents, we ask the community, we ask our donors, our experts to join with us in this effort. This is now the new world of learning. This is the new method of transmitting knowledge. As I said earlier, before COVID, we already formed a futures group because we could see the trends in education. COVID has accelerated all these efforts, and more, we need the support of the families, we need the support of the communities, we need the support of all who advocate education, particularly media, in communicating the correct information, the correct guidelines to the public. Thank you very much.
Maraming salamat, ma'am. At this point, I would like to acknowledge Undersecretary Nepomuceno Malaluan for his opening statement.
Oh, sound is bad.
Yes. I think the secretary has provided
Uh,
uh,
yung audio po ninyo, medyo...
hello, hello, hello.
Yes, Nepo, you sound ghostly.
Okay, hello. Good
Yes,
morning.
sir. Okay.
Ayan, mabuti pa. Ayan, klaro na. That's you.
I the highlights as stated by the secretary, I think is provides the clear discussion of the direction of the department that's this time, and so we will be ready to assist the secretary in responding to questions later. Thank you.
Maraming salamat, sir. May we also acknowledge the presence of Undersecretary Annalyn Sevilla. Ma'am, for your opening statement po.
Magandang umaga po. Good morning, Secretary Yusek Nepo, and to all the Deped family. Just to remind everyone in the Secretary, ma'am, we are live stream in Facebook, and we are receiving a lot of thumbs up and heart remarks when you presented. So we are ready to support the Secretary. Good morning po.
Thank you so much,
Good
ma'am.
morning, good morning. Good news.
Ngayon po, we will proceed po sa mga katanungan ng ating mga kaibigan sa media. Una pong magtatanong si Janvic Mateo ng Philippine Star. Janvic?
Hello po, good morning po. Rinig po ba ako? Medyo wala po akong na-receive na.
Morning, Janvic.
Thank you,
Hi,
ma'am.
good morning.
Here.
Hi, ma'am. Hi, Secretary. Good morning.
Hi,
Yes,
hi.
ma'am. Since nasagot naman na yung question on the opening of classes for private schools, just to follow up na lang siguro, because there is an existing order according to the private schools organization that requires them to secure a prior permit from the DepEd regional offices before they can use flexible learning options. So they are requesting if it's possible to relax that particular order. It's DepEd Order 21 series of 2019, requiring them to secure a prior approval before they can use flexible learning options. Will that particular order still remain in place, or are we going to relax our rules when it comes to the use of flexible learning options in private schools?
If I may answer, Janvic, we are in a sense reworking of that particular requirement. What we are now saying is, because the condition that has been set by IATF, any earlier school openings have to be online. So they will have to indicate their readiness to conduct online. They will perhaps tell us what their facilities are, what their methods are, etc. And this will still entail the approval of the regional director. But regional directors' offices are very accessible because usually they are located in the capital of the region, and they're located very closely to the superintendent's office. And of course, they're available by text or by mail or all other forms of communication. Kailangan lang may showing na there is a capacity to undertake online learning, especially in the light of the very careful guidelines of IATF and the Department of Health, as well as our own expectations of online learning. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Another follow-up on the issue of the private schools. A few weeks back, we have heard from some private school teachers and even school administrators requesting for support. And you mentioned that you will look into the possibility of providing support to the public schools. May update po ba sa IATF kung may decision na?
Yes. We considered the possibilities, and we were thinking initially of the Bayanihan law. But when we brought it up to IATF, the response at the time, and I think you know that there's so many other groups which are also expecting assistance under the Bayanihan law. It was suggested that we can seek assistance through small helping employees of small businesses. Kasi government has a program where assistance is given to people who are employed in small businesses and lose their jobs. And this is coordinated by the Department of Finance and also NEDA. It was started with former Undersecretary of Finance Carl Chua. And so we have been having discussions with him. Again, we really have a very long list, national level, very long list of people who have lost their jobs. You have more than 1 million OFWs who are coming home, no, in batches, and of course they have left their jobs abroad. Kaya ang advice sa atin, I talked with Yusek Kua last Saturday in the evening, and ang sabi niya, we do it the same way we did for other small businesses because we are referring to small schools. Although, alam mo dyan, Vic, you have more than 300,000 teachers sa basic education in private schools. But in the big private schools, these teachers who are permanently employed already have, contracts for 12 months. So they are fairly safe. And then we have also the teachers subsidy program for smaller schools and for teachers who have lower pay. So para hindi mag-duplicate OIC Sec Carl, I get a little bit kasi dati financial, now he is in NEDA. Ang advice niya is we have to submit a list of all the teachers and their bank accounts, their contact numbers, etc. So that klaro talaga who are going to be the recipients, because we want to avoid duplication and we want to be sure of accuracy. So we are at that stage, so we're going to ask the organization of private schools. These are really, Janvic, these are directed, ang focus dito are teachers of small schools who cannot be paid, di ba, no work, no pay arrangements na hanggang 10 months lang sila. Oo, so pag walang klase, di walang sweldo, yun ang gusto naming isusubmit at bigyan ng assistance. So we are at that stage where we're going to ask for a complete listing of those who deserve assistance. Kagaya ng ginagawa sa DSWD, sa local governments, na mag-submit sila ng listahan, pati bank account numbers, ibibigay para on that basis we can have more precise data to make calculations on. Kasi may cost implications ito dyan, Vic, and we're not talking of millions, we're talking of several billions of assistance. Kaya kailangan talagang as precise as possible. And this is what I am trying to transmit to the group of schools. Identify ninyo yung mga teachers ninyo who need to be assisted. Give us their contact numbers, etc., so that we can compile the list as quickly as possible, and they will review it. Of course, the bottom line is availability of funds as usual.
Okay po.
So that's where we are right now as of last Saturday.
Thank you po. Sir, Secretary, last na lang on the quality of education, because the shift to distance learning would change the learning environment of the students. From the classroom na focus sila, ngayon pwedeng nasa bahay sila na iba-iba yung sitwasyon. How are we going to make sure that the quality of education would not be compromised, especially in the context of sulong edukalidad na we are actually pushing for further improving the quality of education of our students?
This is precisely why we need lead time, na hindi talaga pwedeng pilitin yung June, and to stay within the boundaries of the law na we are scheduling up to the last week of August, no? And I cannot say na 100% guarantee na improve, mag-jump how many times ang quality ng education, because while we have been doing this on a limited scale in private schools, in public schools, we are now doing this on a larger scale, no? Because of the magnitude of COVID infection. So hindi ako makakasabi na 100% guarantee talaga. But what I can guarantee is that we are doing all we can. We are trying to cover all the bases. We're trying to identify all the challenges. And we know that we need the support of media in sharing the developments, the new ways of doing things, and so on. Communications is a very crucial factor because because of the anxiety of some members of our community. But then we also have people who are very enthusiastic. Kasi like Father Lucas, he has been in it for decades and decades, and now he sees that we are now recognizing the usefulness of radio programs. This goes for other schools and other communications outfits as well. Finally, na-recognize ang radio. Finally, na-recognize ang TV as a positive way of sharing knowledge. Pero as we go along, we kaya nga nagmi-meet kami very frequently kasi if there are challenges, we act immediately and we get clearance from IATF as quickly as possible. To summarize, I am not guaranteeing 100% increase in quality. I'm guaranteeing 100, 200% effort in complying with the requirements of quality education.
Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Soki.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jan. Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to recognize po si Bons Magsambol ng Rappler for his questions. Bons?
Hi, ma'am.
Yes, hi, Bons.
Hi, ma'am.
Let's see you.
Hi po. Can you see me na?
Hindi ko makita ang face mo.
I opened my video na po. Hello?
Ayan.
Hi, this is Bons Magsambol po from Rappler. So, I have two questions po. Actually, tatlo siya, pero yung una kasi nasagot na. So, yung first one, internet connectivity po remains a problem in some areas in the Philippines, especially in the provinces. If Deped is considering classes to be conducted online or virtually, how do we make sure that no students will be left behind given the restrictions? And in connection to that po, Deped also said that they were eyeing lessons to be delivered via television, radio, and other ICT platforms. How is this possible po given na you said na parang si Secretary Andanar parang they offered na yung government state-run television and radio na pwede nating gamitin. So how will it go po kaya?
Yes, kasi as I was saying, lessons on television and radio have been done already. Distance learning is very popular. We have the so-called also open universities where students communicate with each other virtually. Naumpisahan na yan, but to do it on a very much wider scale, that is the challenge. At saka yung sinabi mo, tama naman yun na internet connectivity is crucial here. Pero napakabilis ng ngayon ng improvements or accessibility of internet and of learning platforms. Nagulat ako ang response, for example, to Deped Commons International. We get communications from mothers who are based in other countries saying that they are using the lessons in Deped Commons as their as the way they tutor their children, especially mothers who are working abroad, and this is wonderful. Pero kailangan medyo complicated, medyo malaki kasi national level na ito. But we are also decentralized like other agencies of government. We have our regional directors. Kaya ang actual implementation will really rest heavily on our regional directors, on our superintendents, on our constant communication, which, as I said, is now very much faster. Dati once a month lang kami magkikita and we spend hundreds of thousands bringing everybody in. Now we can bring in as many people as we want, consult as many institutions as we want through internet. Kaya it has to be very well organized. Now that IATF has already approved our learning continuity program, ang namin ngayon is the implementation aspect, and we need lead time. Kaya as we're stretching up to the last week of August. By the way, also hindi ko na mention kanina, a very important aspect of the learning process is the first week will be largely focusing on psychosocial preparation of the learners. Kasi our teachers right now are undergoing briefings on psychosocial aspects. Dahil this will have a profound impact. Our learners are not going to learn the way you were taught or the way I was taught. And yung importance talaga, and of course I feel a little sad, but there is no other, I mean, we have to respond to what is happening. Sabi ko nga sa ating mga teachers, sa ating mga leaders, what kind of humans are we going to nurture and to bring up with these new kinds of teachings? Kaya importante yung psychosocial impacts on the children. Like our learners, you have seen this. You will remember when you were nursery, kindergarten, grade 1, you would hug your teacher, you hug your tutor. Teachers also hug the children, and then you always have this after class conversations with your teachers and with your friends. Now things have changed. Saka anong we are humans because we interact. Pero kung interacting through other means, we cannot really say what will be eventual result. But we try to retain what is human in our educational system, even as we are using new methods. This is the challenge, and kaya we are really asking for the help of everyone involved and everyone who is interested, not the children of 2 years from now, the election time, the children of 5 years from now, but the children of the future who will be handling, who will be leaders of society itself as a whole. Yun ang challenge.
Okay. Ma'am, follow up lang doon. Kasi parang
Yes.
you said na parang, ayun, so ino-offer na or we're actually eyeing the use of radio and television on a larger scale. So nationwide na siya. So nasa na po tayo dun sa preparation na yun? May timeline na po ba tayo on the implementation of that?
Siyempre, kaya importante yung naset natin yung August 24. Because we'll be going back and forth, kailan ba, December, October, September, August. Kung may timeline tayo, whether it is going to change or not, at least, I mean, at the very least, you have a framework na, you have a goal na ito na yung starting point mo. So between now, which is the end of May, we have to be able to have very solid preparations by August. And this is not only for the alternative delivery modes, but this is also for the physical aspects na kasi there will be schools which can be physically opened depending on the decisions of IATF and DOH. So handain din yung physical aspects. Kaya in one region, for example, nag-attend ang aming director ng meeting ng regional planning, yung regional council. Sinabi na niya na pwede bang isauli na ninyo yung mga schools namin na ginagamit. At saka huwag kayong magalit kung hindi na kami papayag na gagamitin yung mga schools namin dahil naghahanda kami because the schools which will be open have to be absolutely squeaky clean by the time we allow face-to-face. At maintindihan na nila. Dati kasi controversial talagang bonds kasi pag sasabihin namin hindi pwede, maraming salita, no? Maraming speeches, maraming columns ang nagsasabi, bakit hindi payagan na gagamitin ang school, Pero ngayon, we have a clear objective in mind. That is the purpose of setting very clearly without saying naman na nakataga sa bato, hindi ito 10 commandments. But you have a goal to work for.
I see.
Yeah.
So sir, ma'am, one more follow-up po for that question. Kasi parang since inaayon natin yung television and radio on a larger scale po sa pagde-deliver ng lesson, yung tanong ko lang, how do we make sure po na walang maiiwan na estudyante given na ito po yung reality kasi sa mga provinces na even yung isang household, wala silang TV, wala silang access to television, and most of them are from public schools. So paano po kaya natin i-address yung mga ganung problems?
As I said, radio is the most effective measure way of reaching this mahirap na ma-reach na places. Makikita mo yung farmer, madaling araw, ginigising ng radyo. Kasi wake up na, go to your farm na. While he is plowing, makakapakinig siya sa program. The mother who is cooking and washing clothes. Pinaka-extensive ang gamit ng radyo. For those na wala talagang iba, many households have television. And as I said, once I think you appreciate the fact that there are more cell phones than humans in the Philippines. Yung latest count, 100 million tayo, but we have 170 million cell phones. At saka yung paggamit ng smartphones. Ngayon, ako talon-talo ako ng mga teachers ko kasi nakikita ko the things that their smartphones can do, which because my fingers are slower, I have to practice a lot, no? Kasi yung number one dyan talaga, of course, are your internet platforms. Second is your cell phones. Third is your TV. Talagang very extensive na din yung TV. Pupunta ka sa farm, makikita mo yung television aerial na ano. And fourth and finally, ano pa ako, molecule ka pa noon mo sa eyes in your parents. Kasi ako, naabutan ko na yung schools of the air. I used to be involved in schools of the air. No? And ang adjustment dyan is going to be fairly easy. Dahil sanay sa radyo. Madaling araw pa, tumutunog na yung mga radyo ng yes.
Ano, if I may, ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, yung kasama rin po yung ating modules. So we will also have the learning kits. Opo. So yung po pwede rin na gamitin natin at ito po yung pinaghahandaan na ng ating curriculum and instruction are the learning modules. At ito po ay pwedeng iuwi ng mga bata. It's like a guide of the lessons and materials na kanila pong gagamitin. And tama naman kung meron hong problema I think kasi tama si Secretary, yung radyo, lahat pwedeng maabot yan. Pero kung magkakaroon pa rin ng problema, like for example, I think yung mga nasa mountainous areas, island provinces, pwede pong padala niya ng learning packets. At yan po yung ginagawa ngayon ng DepEd through Undersecretary Dad San Antonio. Isa rin po yun sa kung bakit sabi ni Secretary kailangan ma-identify or ma-define kailan magi-start. Kasi kung hindi namin alam kung kailan magi-start, hindi rin kami makakapag-umpisa sa pag-prepare. Marami ho ngayon sa mga guro natin ang i-convert yung kanilang mga lesson plan into some learning packets. Rin po yan sa gagawin ng mga division offices natin. Magpiprint po sila at magpe-prepare niyan at ipadadala. Isa rin po, ma'am, madadagdag ko yung sinabi na paano makakatulong yung mga gustong tumulong sa atin. I think this is the longest Brigada Eskwela that we will do. Starting June until September, ang launching pa ay September. Pero ngayon pa lang ay meron na ho tayong gagawin. I-release po ni Secretary yung department order on the Brigada Eskwela, pati po yung timeline. Ang ating pong tema ay bayanihan sa eskwela. So magkakaroon po ng bayanihan spirit, and I think the true spirit of bayanihan is really in education. Tama po si Secretary, kulang po yung 100%, gobyerno po yon. Yung pampuno, 150% and 200% will come from the parents at saka sa community. Dahil kahit po kami hindi matutog na araw-araw na namin gawin itong plano pa lang ito, learning continuity plan. Ang pag-implement ay hindi lamang po nakasalalay sa DepEd. Nakasalalay po sa mga magulang at saka sa mga kasama natin. So, yun po, ma'am.
Yun ang pagbabago. Mas malaki ang involvement ng parents, ng lolo, ng lola. Those who help the children sa learning process, mas malaki ang papel nila dahil part of the work will have to be done at home. So, ayun. Saka brigada, reconceptualize na yon, reconfigure na natin yon. Yung sinabi ko na instead of the usual traditional gifts that are given to children, paguhin na to perhaps gadgets, so cleaning materials, vitamins. Dati wala mang masyadong namimigay ng vitamins. Siguro ngayon more of these things which will give them strength and immunity to whatever comes around and threatens our very existence. So, ayun.
So ma'am, for my last question na po, what's the DepEd reaction po regarding the study of the UP experts that if classes will open on August and September in the National Capital Region physically, there's a high possibility that the coronavirus transmission may increase? Kasi parang di ba,
Ako, I don't claim to be an expert. I'm just a professor emeritus of UP. But we also rely on results of researches. So, ito, ang assumption dito is physical opening. Now, of course, you are aware, because you are in media, you are aware that NCR is number one sa, sa intensity ng COVID, So I would imagine that whatever IATF decides will be determined by this situation. Ang assumption kasi ng mga experts is physical. We are not saying physical, but namin pipilitin ang physical. And besides, yung study, gusto kong i-refer sa inyo. There was a study na nagiging issue ito last April. Kasi ito yung paglabas ng yung study na ito na linabas ng Johns Hopkins University. Nagsasabi na children may not necessarily be prone to COVID, but they can be transmitters. Pero ang release namin yon, yung Center for Health Security sa Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, ang sinasabi dito, kasi ang pinag-aralan dito yung impact on influenza yung mga bata. So sabi dito, wala pang conclusive evidence na children are transmitters kasi one of the concerns na ayaw nila mahahawa yung mga elderlies ng mga children. Children may not get sick but what is happening even if you look at the Department of Education, we now have 27 learners na natamaan ng COVID and 16 teachers. At saka yung isang case na alam kong tinest ko talaga, hindi naman nakuha niya ng bata from wherever. Nakuha niya sa parents niya, sa father niya, na COVID positive, na galing sa abroad. So, we brought the attention of the TWG of IATF to this. Nasabi namin, wala pang conclusive evidence. John Hopkins says this. And there are also other studies na nagsasabing hindi mo makukonclude na transmitters ang mga bata. Now, the TWG of IATF is looking into this. And even DOH, the Department of Health, has recognized this. Nandoon yung Undersecretary ng Department of Health and sinabi nila, new literature is coming out. So wala pang definitive na children as transmitters. What is clear, as I said, in Deped, this is a huge organization. Can you imagine? We have 30 million people under us. And we have about 27 kids vis-a-vis 16 adults na natamaan. And itong mga kaso ng mga bata, ito wala naman sila sa school eh. So, dapat i-consider yan because that is the main argument. The assumption is physical, face-to-face, which of course, as I explained, is not being encouraged. Hindi kami lalabag ng whatever the DOH says in terms of minimum standards. At saka pinag-aaralan na ngayon ng DOH yan. Dahil they also acknowledge that there are new studies which are coming out on the issue of children as transmitters. So, yun.
Okay, maraming salamat.
Listen to everybody.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, ang susunod po na magtatanong si Jayhua Bernardo ng ABS-CBN News Online. Jayhua.
Good morning po.
Hi.
Yes, ma'am. I just have one question. Meron na po ba tayong advice or parang guidelines on the enrollment process? Will people still need to be physically present para mag-enroll or may other methods na po ba?
No, January pa, enrollment has been going on since last January. And most enrollment is now done online.
Okay.
So yung sa June 1 to 30 nating formal enrollment period, it picks up from the kasi agawan kasi ng ang mga parents may preferred school sila kasi yung malapit sa kanilang bahay and so on, and gusto nilang may favorite teacher sila or favorite school official, so namimili sila. So as early as January nag-enroll na yung online mga parents, mga bata. Lalo na yung sa lower grades kasi naghahabol talaga sila. So, mayroon na tayong instructions, mayroon ng forms, naka-attach ata yun sa LCP namin kung paano mag-i-enroll. No, hindi kailangan ng physical presence, especially in places where you have intense concentration of COVID infections. Oo. So, ayun.
Can I add, ma'am, to the enrollment?
Yes.
Yung kasama dun sa lalabas na school calendar ngayon, yung pagtalaga ng June 1 to 30 bilang panahon ng pag-enroll. Tama yung sinabi ni Secretary na mayroong advanced registration or early registration, pero itong June 1 to 30 ay panahon para ma-revalidate yan dahil nag-iba yung kondisyon. Hindi natin alam kung yung mga magulang ay handa pa rin ipapasukin yung kanilang mga anak. So magkakaroon ng iba't ibang pamamaraan para makuha itong mai-accomplish itong enrollment form. Hinahanda na rin ng aming ng LIS, ng pagbabago ng LIS, pag-include doon dahil gusto naming magamit itong panahon ng enrollment na ito para makakuha ng mahalagang impormasyon tungkol sa kondisyon ng mga mag-aaral at ng mga households na kasama nila. Meron ba silang mga gadget, may access pa sila sa internet, naglalakad ba sila papuntang eskwelahan. So parang may kakibat, sabi ni Secretary, na naka-attach doon mismo sa school calendar yung enrollment form. Isa na rin itong survey form that will help our field units to determine kung ano ang tamang magiging kombinasyon at contextualized strategy ng pag-deliver ng distance learning as needed to the field. Bukod sa nakasulat doon sa school calendar ay magkakaroon ng specific issuance on the enrollment itself at bukod doon ay bukod doon sa separate issuance ay ito yung magiging isa sa mga tungkulin ng Oplan Balik Eskwela. Dati ang Oplan Balik Eskwela ay 2 linggo lamang ginaganap bago magpasukan. Pero ngayon ay Hunyo pa lamang at probably even earlier than June. Nung last MANCOM ay nabanggit ni Secretary na yung Oplan Balik Eskwela ay even earlier pa than June 1 ay ma-activate na kasi yung Oplan Balik Eskwela ay isang pamamaraan para sumagot sa lahat ng mga tanong, clarification at nagmo-mobilize din dito ng interagency. Yung Oplan Balik Eskwela does not just involve the Department of Education but also other agencies as well. So as mentioned by the Secretary, precisely because this is a new thing, we need the time, and that is precisely among the reasons for picking a later, yung sinabi ni Secretary na inilapit as much as we can to the pinakahuli na window na binibigay ng batas, whereas traditionally ay sa unang Lunes ng Hulyo binubuksan ang mga paaralan. Pero dahil dito sa mga operational necessities in adjusting to this new mode of organizing basic education this coming school year ay minarapat na pinili yung petsa na nabanggit ni Secretary kanina.
Thank you.
Ayun, maraming salamat, sir. Thank you so much, Jewa. Ang susunod po na magtatanong ay si John Arcilia po ng Manila Times, ma'am. John? Hello,
Hello po.
John.
Morning po.
Hi.
Hello po. So, clarification lang po dun sa classrooms po. So, by August 24, kung mag-open tayo ng schools, dapat hindi na ready na po siya. So, hindi na po dapat siya, I mean, yung mga LGUs po, dapat hindi na ginagamit yung schools as isolation facilities.
Yes, actually, ang magandang example ang NCR. Kasi dati, you will recall, nag-headline ang si Yorme ng Manila na 5,000 classrooms gagamitin as isolation places. Ibang mga local governments, ina-announce nila, we have this many classrooms, available ito. At sinulatan namin sila. Pero ngayon, binabawi na nila ngayon yung kanilang mga requests dahil nga kailangan talaga yung malaking lugar. So they have PICC, you have the Rizal Memorial Stadium, you have also the Iglesia ni Cristo facilities. So pangmalakihan yon, World Trade Center, pangmalakihan ng mga lugar na talagang mas efficient na ma-manage kaysa separate schools and besides yung social distancing mahirap mo namang i-implement sa mga classrooms ng iba sa DepEd na hindi practical yung social distancing. Para sa social distancing, ilang pasyente lang mapasok mo sa isang classroom, considering na 1 to 2 meters all around ang distance na rin-require at saka kailangan na mayroong medical team na nagmo-monitor. Pero kung isang big facility like PICC, ayun, mas organized at saka mas efficient. So, yung in Metro Manila, Davao, the mayor of Davao City has never for once requested any school building because they also have other facilities, no? So, yung mga nagre-reserve ay hindi na lahat natutuloy. Kung yung iba naman na sabi nila kailangan nila, sinasabihan na namin na babawiin na namin yan on a phased basis because they have to be, as I said, squeaky clean kung halimbawa gagamitin for face-to-face classes. Dahil alam mo naman ang mga parents at saka mga guardians, hindi naman yan basta-bastang papasukin nila yung mga anak nila kung malaman nila na ang isang classroom ay ginamit without assurance, no? Isa pang dapat ipaghanda sa face-to-face classes ay yung damage na nagawa ng mga earthquakes. Napakaraming schools tayo na bumagsak. You will remember from all your horror photos of collapsed ceilings of school buildings. Ay kailangang i-repair yan. This is why we also need time. Kaya hinihingi namin talaga yung pinaka-maximum na time, not only to prepare for alternative delivery modes, but also to prepare for physical classes, yung mga nasisirang buildings, paglilinis, at binabago na namin yung mga practices natin na dating para lang pa sa old normal. Ngayon, with the new normal, bago na rin ang pamamaraan, bago na rin ang outlook. So, yun dyan.
Ma'am?
Gandaan din yan. Pero may may mabigat na financing requirements yan dahil mga ceilings ito ng mga schools in Zambales, in Mindanao, and so on.
Ma'am, if I may, ma'am, related to
yes, sure.
LGU. Yes, ma'am. Kasi I think marami na rin po sa LGU natin ang nakaka-align na doon sa ating learning continuity plan. For example, specifically Mayor Sara of Davao has already issued instruction to prepare for the learning modules. So nagpe-prepare na sila even for TV and radio partnership. So naka-align po talaga dito yan at imbis na mag-isip sila kung ano ang gagamitin sa eskwelahan related to quarantine or isolation area, baliktad po, no, very strong support ang ibinigay ni Mayor Sara in our learning delivery approaches. And lahat po, pati teachers, binibigyan niya ng suporta para makapag-prepare dito. Isa pa po na example natin dito sa NCR is the City of Taguig. Nagbigay po sila ng malaking investment out of their special education fund para po magkaroon ng Wi-Fi connection ang mga eskwelahan nila. At nagsa-start na po sila na mag-provide ng gadgets at saka facilities for the teachers and students. So, isa rin po sana sa yung sinasabi nyo kanina, ma'am, na 100% tutuloy ko ulit, ay part natin ng LGU dahil meron din po silang resources na tinatawag na Special Education Fund. At kung meron po tayong ganitong advanced na preparation at saka timeline, matutulungan po natin sila. Kasama po yan sa Brigada Eskwela na gagawin natin. Hindi lang po mga magulang ang ating i-orient at papaliwanag kung ano yung gusto nating gawin na hindi po normal, yung new normal. But the local government units who has resources will also be given guidance na magamit po nila yung kanilang available na resources ngayon na patungo doon sa bago or the new normal na gagawin natin. Yun po, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay.
Maraming salamat, Yusek. Ann, John, you have follow-up
Last na
question
lang,
or
sir.
okay na? Okay.
Last na lang, sir. May final po si Senator Gatchalian na resolution on Senate inquiry on effect nitong COVID pandemic sa basic education natin, ma'am. Can you comment on that?
Diyan, hindi ko, I cannot get you clearly.
Okay. Kasi nag-file po si... Yes, sir.
Hindi
Pakirepeat lang
ko
yung
gets.
question.
Nag-file po si Senator Win Gatchalian ng resolution conducting a Senate inquiry on effect of COVID-19 pandemic sa basic education, ma'am. Can you comment on that po?
Yes, we have been, Jan, we have always been in touch with Senator Win because he's a very deep interest in education. At saka, either kami ang nagko-contact sa kanya kung mayroon kaming naiisipan o kailangan namin ng opinion niya. Kuminsan siya naman ang nagpapadala ng request. Lalo na mga research materials, nagpapadala siya ng request sa amin. So it's actually a very dynamic relationship na kung may kailangan siya, pinapasabi niya kaagad. Kung kami naman ay may gusto kaming ipaabot na bagong development, pinapaalam din namin sa kanya. Kasi nasa Committee on Education kasi siya at saka siya ang responsible sa Senate among others sa edukasyon at napaka yung interest niya, napaka deep ang interest niya sa education. So okay lang yun kung magka-hearing dahil naman pag magpatawag ang Senado ng hearing, bukas may hearing ang Congress, ay kami naman ay magko-comply because that's also a way by which we are able to communicate what is new and how we are resolving our challenges at this time, which are really, as Mons has shown, very, very tough, and si Bons pala, really quite challenging, but at the same time exciting because you think of new ways. I'd forgotten all about radio. Isip ko kaagad cellphone, isip ko TV. Nakalimutan ko yung radio na linakihan ko na yung ang tawag sa kanila noon schools of the air, no. Ngayon we are going to utilize radio as well.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much,
Okay sa atin.
John.
Okay, mag-hearing siya. Okay. Oo.
Ma'am, ang susunod na magtatanong po ay si Rida Reyes po ng GMA 7. Rida?
Yes, hi. Good morning po. Hi, Seth.
Hi.
Hello po. Actually, question lang po on the face-to-face setup on August 24. may we know, ma'am, kung ano po bang mga conditions or factors ang i-consider ng DepEd before mapayagan ang isang eskwelahan na ipatupad yung face-to-face? Like, will it matter kung nasa high-risk area siya or kung by August ay naka-GCQ pa po ba or kung ano po yung situation ng bansa na?
It's very, very clear na ang determinant dyan is really what IATF assesses, no? Kasi doon sila ang ito yung committee na nag-get together ng lahat ng mga data from all the regions. Pag i-classify ang definitely ECQ is out of the question. Ang GCQ probably has to be considered very, very carefully. But there are also places na zero ang levels like Bohol, nagkaroon sila ng 2 pero ngayon under control na. You have Siquijor, hindi makayanan ng mga beings doon sa Siquijor ng COVID, zero din si ano. There are places na nagtataka sila what all the trouble is all about since wala naman silang ganong klaseng problema. But still, we have to get clearance from IATF and the DOH kasi ang DOH may minimum health safety standards sila na dapat sundin. At ano naman, ang standards naman nila nanggagaling sa different international organizations pero ina-adjust namin to the conditions of the Philippines. Yung dalawa yun ang crucial. Otherwise, hindi kami talaga papayag na in a sense, mag face-to-face ang mga bata at teachers.
Sa face-to-face interaction po, if mapayagan ng isang eskwelahan na ipagpatuloy itong classroom setup, ano po ang magiging part of the new normal or safety protocols that will be put in place?
Yung safety protocols will have to comply with the DOH minimum health standards. Pero ang mga bata natin, sanay na sila ng hand washing. Maybe it explains why out of you have 27 million kids, pagkatapos you only have 27 who have been COVID infected and they got it elsewhere. And then you have 16 teachers. Kasi sanay na sila doon sa hand washing habits, yung covering your nose when you are sneezing. Ang medyo mahirap talaga yung social distancing dahil it's cultural and it's part of children-adult relationships na very very close and it's part of the learning process talaga. And as a people, we are touching people. Maya-maya. Ako nga, tinatanong ako palagi ng mga friends ko, how many hands did you hold today? Kasi I'm used to holding hands and to making akbay and all that. No? And many of us are like, that's the difficult part, the social distancing. The other requirements of the Department of Health, kailangan may doktor ka, saka kailangan malinis and everything, mako-comply mo yan. And this is where we need the help of the brigada, eskwela, donors and adherents, no? Na i-shift nila, i-tweak nila yung kanilang forms of giving. Dati iba naman, no? Mga school bags usually yan at saka mga kortina, mga pintura, but this time we'll be asking for more cleansing material instead of the usual brooms, iba na siguro. So babaguhin yan lahat. So, everybody has to come in, hindi lang ito Deborn. Oo.
Sec, si Senator Gatchalian po ulit, sinabi niya na kung magtutuloy yung face-to-face interaction, dapat daw may budget ang mga eskwelahan to provide for face masks, disinfection, and even sana ma-maintain yung ma-limit to 15 to 20 students per classroom. Is that achievable po?
Well, we are aware of that, no? Kasi requirement talaga yun sa face-to-face. Although ang thinking ko, the way I look at it, ang face-to-face, when we start in August, hindi naman siya nationwide. So siguro makayanan yung requirements for masks kasi marami ng donations. Actually, mayroon nang nag-start na mag-donate. Ang layo pa ng August, may nag-donate na ng mga face mask, yung mga N95 types na face masks. mga vitamins, etc. para ma-protect ang mga bata. Ah, pero sa tingin ko, hindi siguro, well, ako lang, I'm just speaking from the top of my head, no? Dahil the numbers are not very clear yet. Na kung ilang face-to-face ang magagawa. Depends on a month-to-month, day-to-day basis. Kaya practically every day nagmi-meet ang IATF and the numbers change. At saka sometimes there are surprises like Cebu, like Zamboanga, no, na masu-surprise ka. And especially now that these are not children, these are our OFWs who are coming home. So we have to also see to it that they are safe, so that the homes and the children that they are coming home to will also be safe. No? So itong mga yan, all of these will have to be taken into consideration. Pero tama, that's a very sensible thing. Tama yan si Senator Gatchalian. The thing is, paghandaan. And some donors are already thinking along those lines. Yan ang mga iniisip nilang i-contribute to the learning system.
Sec, last question na lamang po. Yung dun po sa e-learning naman, how do we expect yung population po natin ng mga kabataan na wala po talaga silang knowledge on e-learning, on the use of internet, na makakup kagad doon sa kaalaman kung paano gumamit ng mga equipment, device tungkol dito sa e-learning?
Actually, you'll be surprised kasi ang general belief is public education is inferior and other forms of educations are superior. But that is not so anymore. Hindi naman ganyan. And as I said kanina, even before COVID, we already organized a futures group, not in terms of the next election or the next administration. No, how education will be like and what kind of people we are going to nurture maybe when they are 30 years older, 50 years older, anong klaseng society ang i-build natin. And that will inform the content of what we teach at this time. So, hindi naman totally behind the times because you already have 20th century classrooms, 21st century classrooms, even before COVID. At the time that COVID landed in the country, na it became a source of talaga leading to the pandemic, I was in Abra and I was observing children being taught how to use their tablets in a barrio school. Oo. So, hindi ganon ka, I would say, ka behind ang mga ngayon. Kasi, ang bilis matuto ng mga bata. And this is why we also want to upskill the teachers. Ang daling maturuan ang mga bata. They have this courage, this bravery to try new things, which sometimes adults are afraid of doing. So, we have been winning, contests, international contests in science, in invention. Ang ating senior high school kids are doing very well. We join math contests and all sorts of activities. Unfortunately, hindi na yan pwede ngayon. Oo. Kaya itong window natin na tatlong buwan, we want to use them up in upgrading not only our learners but also upskilling our teachers, kasi lalo na kung may access sila sa platform na Deped Commons. I said there are already 6 million of them in a matter of about less than a month, no, na nag-access. International pa yung nag-access na ibang mga parents, no. So the assumption that dito lang tayo sa mga urban-based places, alam na when you have a parent, you have a mother working in Dubai or a father working in Europe, siyempre, if you are a child, you learn how to use communications because your father in Dubai will see to it that you will have your mother in Europe, maski la bandera siya, will see to it that you have all these gadgets De La Bandera, monitors her husband, who probably is a driver in Saudi Arabia. Monitor niya. I must confess that those in my household, not, ang pinakamahusay, hindi naman ang Secretary of Education sa household ng Secretary of Education. It's the house personalities who are very much faster dahil they're communicating internationally. Ayun. So, that's why we have to cope.
Ma'am,
And we
pwede
cannot cope by ourselves.
Teacher, ma'am. Pwede
Teacher,
mag-isa.
present ka ba?
Ayan, practice na po tayo for the online classroom. This is how it will be. So that the students will also, raise their hand and interact with the teacher. So ma'am, idagdag ko lang na yung learning continuity plan is a framework. Ito po ay parang menu. Choices of delivery methods that the school can adapt or practice and implement. So magkakaroon po ng flexibility ang mga division and regional offices namin to plan their own delivery approach. So very important yung question ni Rida. Ang magiging contextualization or choice ng mga eskwelahan will depend on the local public health situation. So definitely kung sa locality ay hindi po pwede ang face-to-face, wag nang piliin yung delivery mode na yon. But there are other blended, distance, and other techniques. So, pipiliin po nila, unang-una, depende sa public health situation. At pangalawa, sa capacity nila. Capacity also means, do they have the Wi-Fi connection available? Are the facilities and gadget and equipment available? Are teachers already trained, oriented? So, kung ang sagot ay hindi, wag po tayo dun sa online learning. We now go to the learning modules and the learning packets. So, para pareho pa rin nung nakapila o yung nahahawakan, yun na lang, hindi pupunta sa eskwelahan. Mayroon po tayong gagawin na paraan, kagaya rin na sinabi ni Secretary, kung iaalaw na ang normal situation, hindi rin po pwedeng sabay-sabay papasok ang lahat. Magkakaroon din ng staggered scheduling and smaller size classroom teacher to student ratio. Kasi ang isa pa rin sa sinabi kanina ni Secretary Briones, ang new normal will be the minimum health standard and protocol. Yan po ay kagaya ng mga nasa skeleton workforce ng gobyerno, pumapasok sila pero naka-mask, may PPE, lalo na sa eskwelahan, gagawin din yan. Pero hindi po natin gagawin ng isang bagsakan or sabay-sabay, kaya yung pong fear and apprehension ng ating mga magulang at ng mga komunidad ay ating pong open our mind. Hindi namin sinasabing sabay-sabay ay normal tayo ulit, babalik. Mangyayari po ay contextualization and choice of the framework. Ang amin pong ginawa ay i-ready sa inyo kung ano yung pwede yung pagpilian. At yan po yung in-explain kanina ni Secretary. Hindi pa po siya detalyado. At alam ko yung mga questions ninyo are very valid and very important. Kaya nga po ginagawa ni Secretary na kami ay nagkakaroon ng meeting virtually with all the regional directors and all the superintendents. Kaya rin po maaga yung enrollment na sinasabi. In fact, hindi po yun yung totoong enrollment. The enrollment happened in January, February. Yung June po is actually the additional enrollees or the transferees. Kasi nga marami po nangyari ngayon. May mga bumalik sa probinsya, may mga na-stranded sa mga lugar, yung mga OFW umuwi na. So may mga adjustment. Ito po yung mangyayari sa aming Oplan Balik Eskwela. At yung minention ni Yusek Nepo, very important, we will also do the initial survey. Kasi doon na malalaman yung capacity ng locality. Kaya ba nila mag-online? Will they do blended learning? Or will they resort to the learning modules and the learning packets?
Yusek Nepo?
Yeah.
Yusek Nepo.
Idagdag ko lang na yung mga sinabi na pagbalik sa eskwelahan kanina, yung standards na binabanggit ni Secretary, yung minimum health standards that will be implemented in schools to ensure that they are ready to safely receive all our students, both physically and while they are in school, ay hindi ito parang plano na pinag-iisipan lamang, kung hindi nakabatay ito doon sa halimbawa yung inilabas ng Department of Health na guidelines on the risk-based public health standards for COVID-19 dun sa kanyang AO 2020-0015. And apat yung bahagi nun. Yung una ay yung pagpapalakas ng physical and mental resilience ng mga bata at saka ng mga guro. Yung pag-reduce ng transmission. Pangatlo ay yung pag-reduce ng contact. So doon kasama yung physical distancing. At yung pag-reduce ng direction of infection. At very detailed yung standards doon na dapat ay ma-comply ng hindi lamang ng pampublikong mga paaralan, pampribadong paaralan, pero lahat ng establishments and sectors. At kaya lahat sila ay pinagsasubmit. At nakapaloob yun dun sa Learning Continuity Plan, pero maglalabas din yung department ng specific guidelines or department memo or department order specifying this. Hindi lamang yung gabay nung DOH ang tiningnan namin, pero tiningnan din halimbawa namin a lot of literature. Halimbawa yung Center for Disease Control and Prevention has ng US ay mayroong guidance, administrative guidance to schools to plan, prepare, and respond to coronavirus disease. Gayon din yung UNESCO ay may tinignan din kami mga publications nila looking at and highlighting the health and safety measures as key guarantees for safe back to school of teachers and learners. Ganun din yung nabanggit ni Secretary kanina, yung publication ng Johns Hopkins was actually a guidance for governors on the phased reopening of all institutions including schools in light of COVID. Yung UNESCO, re-release lang niya ng framework for reopening of schools. So lahat yan ay nagiging batayan para i-push into a guidance and guidelines for our schools to comply with. And so even in the yung kung magbubukas yung mga private schools outside of the date that was prescribed by Deped for public schools, ay kailangan silang mag-submit nitong kanilang compliance to minimum health standards. So that is an assurance that the department will make that the schools will be safe both physically when they receive the students and during their stay in the schools. In fact, si Secretary lagi niyang ine-emphasize na hindi magkakasya na in the schools lang because sometimes they are protected inside the schools pero pag uwi naman in their transportation and in their home settings, baka doon naman sila unprotected. So in the light of COVID, you must maintain the minimum health standards everywhere, whether at home, on travel, or in schools 24/7. That's the only thing that will guarantee the minimization of transmission and outbreaks.
All right.
Thank you, Sec. Thanks po, Sec.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Rida. Ang susunod pong magtatanong ay si Jasmine ng ABS-CBN. Jasmine?
Good morning po sa inyong lahat, Secretary, mga USEC.
Hi. Miss ka na namin.
I'm just here, Secretary. My question po is...
Na-miss ka namin sa last press conference. Sige.
Opo. Anyway,
but you stayed behind ata. Sige. Okay. Di kita rinig.
Hello?
Ayan.
Hello. Okay.
Yeah.
First question, some students heavily rely on the feeding program. Since meron na po tayong mga ganitong klaseng measures, mga flexible learning, paano na po mag-a-adjust ang DepEd dito?
Ah, yung mga feeding and other nutritional activities sa mga at the barangay levels, they have this practice of distributing grocery bags, and then also mga private sector supporters. Ang dami-dami niya na inaano, but it has to be well organized, of course, but these are organized by the LGUs. Sa atin sa DepEd, we can only have virtual feeding. You imagine, bigyan ka ng picture ng pagkain na ito kinakain mo, lalong gugutumin yung bata niyan. So usually direct feeding programs ngayon ang nangyayari at the level of barangays, local government units. And ayun, ang nangyayari dahil kung virtual, hindi naman talaga namin makakayanang mag-feed sa mga bata in that way. Oo.
Ibig sabihin po, ma'am, matutuloy lang po yung feeding program in schools where it is allowed.
Yes, where face-to-face is allowed. Patuloy pa din yun. Ang preferred nga namin, noon ko pa yan ulit-ulit na sinasabi na mas gusto noon ni dating Secretary of the Budget na lahat na bata. Hindi lang yung undernourished, malnourished, tapos they have their feeding program kasi magkaroon ka ng status complications. Yung ibang bata nahihiya silang magiging bahagi ng feeding program dahil ibig sabihin poor sila, ibig sabihin payat sila, ibig sabihin sakitin sila. Oo, at saka medyo naiinggit din sila sa ibang mga bata na may sariling baonan, etc. Kaya nga sabi, mabuti pa na lahat talagang bata, yun ang isasali sa feeding program. Kasi yung iba, lumalayas talaga, hindi sila nagpa-participate na ibang mga bata dahil nahihiya sila na ganun ang estado nila. Kasi always hunger is associated with poverty. So mga poor sila, mga payat, mga sakitin. So binibigyan ng reverse reverse impacts yan. Kala natin we make them feel na inaalagaan sila, pero sila naman ang feeling nila na I've talked to children na ganun tinatanong ko, ba't hindi ka sumasali? Nahiya sila kasi para silang mga poor na kailang pakainin, and that's not good for a child's self-esteem.
Pwedeng magdagdag,
Okay, go ahead.
Jasmine. Ang alam ko ay bukas ay may meeting yung mga regional directors at saka yung school health at saka yung aming assistant secretary sa administration para pag-usapan nga itong school-based feeding. Kung alalahanin natin, isa yan sa mga protected measures doon sa Bayanihan Act. At marahil pag mapag-uusapan bukas kung may iba pa bang forma ng school-based feeding bukod doon sa in-school lamang. So hindi pa natin alam yung magiging resulta noon. Hinihintay din natin yung input noong admin kung magkakaroon sila ng adjustments to how the school-based feeding program. Kasi siguro may ang kadahilanan ng bayanihan na kung bakit protected expenditure ito ay dahil isa rin itong forma ng social amelioration. So siguro medyo may pagkakataon pa naman at ang alam ko nga ay bukas ay mag-meeting sila with the regional directors upang magharap yung admin ng kung paano nila propose na i-implement itong school-based feeding program in the context where distance learning might be a major modality and not face-to-face. Thank you.
At saka alam mo, mayroon akong lesson na natutunan nito kasi sometimes adults demand, pakainin mo ako, bigyan mo ako ng grocery, bigyan mo ako ng pera dahil ako ay mahirap, dahil ako ay walay trabaho. Pero mukhang iba din yung behavioral response ng mga bata. Pag sasabihin mo pinapakain sila, dahil sila ay poor, yung self-esteem nila medyo nadadamage. Saka nahihiya silang aaminin na hinihiwalay sila tuwing feeding time para pakainin. siguro magkaiba ang ang epekto sa bata at saka sa some adults, no? Yung adults, give me food, I demand food, I demand money because I am poor. It's your duty to take care of me. But for a child who's trying to get along with classmates and integrating, to be treated separately and to be fed separately. Kikita niya yung baonan ng kanyang mga classmate. Iba yung effect. Kinakahiya nila na sila they have to be treated differently. Pero siguro sa adults naman, iba naman ang some adults, iba naman ang kanilang expectation. So I think that's something that I have learned in my experience in Deped. We have to be mindful of how children react to how we are treated. May nakausap akong bata, hindi na siya pumapasok. Bakit hindi ka pumapasok? Kasi nahihiya siya na pinapakain siya. At saka yung ibang classmates niya, hindi naman pinapakain. Yung status niya, medyo siguro kung paglaki niya, baka acquire din siya ng ibang perspective na, hoy, duty mong pakainin mo ako. Huwag mo akong pagutumin. Pero getting along in school with classmates, lalo na kung mayroon kang kaibigan na gusto mong i-impress, medyo yan, sa tingin ko, medyo may effect. Yun, I will not say harmful. So that's very interesting. Thank you, Jasmine. Dagdag ko lang na impormasyon.
Meron pa pong isang question, Secretary. Several weeks ago, Deped has released a survey for the stakeholders to ask about the adjustments needed to be made for the flexible learning methods. Ano na po ang resulta ng survey na ito?
Ma'am, wala pong sound.
Ma'am, wala pong audio.
Yung
Ayan.
ang focus ng survey is really to find out kung anong response ng public to the proposed opening of schools. Tapos nagtanong din kami ng iba, may agam-agam tungkol sa mga other ways of teaching, other ways of transmitting learning. Pero gusto na naming tapusin yan, Jasmine, kasi gusto na nating magtrabaho na mayroon tayong tinatanaw na sinasabi natin kung August 24, lahat na dapat magawa natin, gawin natin by August 24. Kasi kaysa walang patuloy na consultation, patuloy na tanong, na iba't iba naman ang mga sagot. Pero ang lumabas talaga, of course, is August. Level sa mga partners, there are more than 100 partner institutions and experts, level sa Exicom, sa Mancom, and the larger of the public. Ang tendency is to be as late as possible within the boundaries of the law. So yun ang for us, especially with the approval of IATF, tapos na yung issue about opening. Kung may mangyari pang iba, we will adjust. Pero at least yun ang tinatanaw natin na goal. We cannot be continuously be undecided. I know I'm a Libran. Libran always weighs everything for deciding. But this is an instance where we really have to have a more or less a specific goal in mind na yun ang patutunguhan. Kung may mangyari, di mag-adjust. But otherwise, yun ang pinaka-framework. 4 na levels ang testing ito eh. Yes.
Last question na lamang po, Secretary. A lot of parents are feeling very anxious about the school opening and some have expressed na baka hindi nila kayanin ang ganitong klaseng setup with several factors such as nagtatrabaho ang parehong magulang, ang magulang hindi masyadong madunong, mas matalino pa yung mga bata, lack of gadgets, lack of accessibility, and so on. Ano po siguro ang mensahe po ninyo sa mga magulang na ganito?
Ang mensahe ko, we would like to assure the parents that we are doing all we can and we are aware of their anxiety, of their worries, because we are also undergoing the same levels of anxiety, no? Lahat naman tayo, we're all in the same boat, but we're doing all we can in the realm of the possible, no? Kasi hindi naman pwedeng give up, wag na lang, next year na lang tayo magklase. Pero mahirap imaginein anong mangyayari sa mga bata natin kung tigilan natin ang learning process because we are afraid. And I believe, no, ito yung sinasabi ko din sa teachers natin na halimbawa yung ating subjects kasi, yung learning competencies na tinatawag, we started 2016 pa, sinasabihan na tayo ng mga parents, ng mga experts. Sobrang dami yung learning competencies. More than 10,000 learning competencies, especially at the senior high school level na kailangan masterin ng bata yan. Ngayon, we have reduced it to 4,000, yung pinaka-importante. Ang importante dito, yes, Hasmin, sa aking tingin, being an oldie, being an elderly, ang pinaka-importante is to teach courage, to teach hope, to accept change. That is in the law already. Wala pang COVID, nagsasabi na acceptance of change. And to be, as I was saying, to be analytical, critical thinking. Yun ang apat yun communications, critical thinking, and so on and so forth, na dapat ituturo sa bata. Kasi knowledge will change. Knowledge will change every day. Hindi mo makapa yung lahat ng mga pagbabago ng knowledge. Pero the courage to face these changes together, at kaya nga sinabi ko sa isang statement ko na the child has to be taught na ayan, maraming dangers, nakakatakot si COVID, parang monster na naghihintay sa iyo para kakainin ka. Ang daming bagong kailangan to learn and all that. But hindi naman sila pabayaan ng teacher, hindi naman sila pabayaan ng parents, hindi naman sila pabayaan ng community, hindi sila pabayaan ng Diyos. Oo. To be courageous, to be brave, to be hopeful, to be excited. I think if we are able to instill that in our learners, no, that would be a great thing. You can teach 10,000 competencies, but if you teach anxiety, if you teach fear, if you teach insecurity, and you are so fearful but that you cannot move anymore, let's just wait for this thing to blow over. But we don't know when this thing will blow over. So in the meantime, you cannot have 9 months of idle children being, restrained in their homes. You cannot imagine if you have 3 or 4 children of different ages, and then you have the lolos and the lolas also around, and making them stay at home and having no classes, no learning at all, because we are afraid. So we have to work around that fear, which we also share. I am afraid. I cannot sleep at night thinking, because we are responsible for 27 million children. But we have to move. There is no, there is no alternative, as I said, but to have a goal. Hindi kagaya ng problem ng algebra na isosolve mo lang yung how much is x or how much is y, how much is z. Ilang unknowns lang yan. Pero dito, isang katutak na unknowns. And all of you have very thoughtfully brought them all out. Itong lahat ng mga sinasabi ninyo, unknowns ito. pero we have to try to anticipate them and see how we can respond best. And this is where you come in. Hindi lang kami na nagsosolo-solo. Oo.
Ma'am, ulit. Recite ulit, ma'am.
Anong recite?
Oo, ma'am, kasi
recite ka. Sige, present ka na nga eh.
Related ulit, ma'am, doon sa sinabi ninyo na this is a good opportunity for the competencies. So, 4 po yun. Dudugtungan ko yung sinabi ni ma'am, creativity, critical thinking, communication, and collaboration. So
Collaboration, yung collaboration,
yes,
apat.
collaboration is actually what we are doing. That's the bayanihan. Communication is including technology, but of course we know capacity is not equal to all. But at least kaya pa rin natin mag-communicate kahit wala yung technology, but we will prepare them for that. Creativity and critical thinking, this is the best time to teach our learners how to do it. And isa na lang siguro ma'am, kasama doon sa learning continuity plan is that ang atin lang pong itatouch na competencies ay yung most essential learning competencies. Hindi po natin, wag po nilang i-expect na lahat ng subject na kinukuha under the face-to-face interaction will be covered in this alternative delivery mode. Magkakaroon po ng issuance, guidelines ng ating curriculum and instruction kung ano yung most essential learning competency. At syempre, iikli po yung time, yung even the attention span ng bata. Yung kaya lang natin na ma-supervise and ma-monitor through a teacher or through a guardian and parent is really limited. But we have to think that this is education in emergencies. So during this time, limited ang time, limited din yung competencies ng ating aral or ang scope ng ating ilalagay sa mga modules. Pero ito po yung most essential. At yung po sinabi na ni Secretary, napakaganda na sinabi niya. Ulitin natin, creativity, critical thinking, communication, and collaboration. It can be done, it can be taught to the learners even at times ng ganito po na may emergency. Yun po ma'am. 3 recitation na ako.
Check ka na. Present. At saka naka-recite na. Oo.
Thank you,
Sige.
ma'am.
Thank you.
John.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. Ma'am, since 18,000 po yung nakapanood ngayon sa sa Deped Philippines, may mga questions po dito, dalawa lang po, ma'am. Yung question po ni Doris Bayugo, will you give the mandate to the school to determine the number of hours of face-to-face interaction between teacher and students and the home study or distance learning, ma'am? Yan po yung tanong ng isa sa mga teacher natin dito. Nakasubaybay.
Sa palagay ko, mayroon tayong broad guidelines dyan na ibibigay. Kasi pag ganon, pag hayaan nating kanya-kanyang baka iba't ibang impacts din, iba't ibang effects din sa mga learners natin. Kasi at the end of the day, yung mga bata, lahat magte-take naman ng exam. So, kung alam ng mga schools at alam naman nila kung anong hinahanap sa ating mga assessment examinations, anong importante, then mag-focus sila doon. Kaya yung overall learning continuity plan natin, kailangang kabisaduhan yan ng lahat para kung ano yung adjustments na gagawin niya will be within the framework of our overall learning continuity plan. Kung anong klaseng competencies ang kailangang i-develop sa bata, kung anong klaseng, as I said, mga attitudes, values ang ituturo natin. Halimbawa sa ating school calendar, the first week will be most likely devoted to psychosocial mentoring para mahanda yung mga bata and also in the process the teachers na iba na ito ngayon. This is different, but they are special. That's why they are special, because they are different and they're going to be learning in a different way. So, kailangan talagang ipaliwanag yun sa mga bata. At saka, yung challenge nga ni Jasmine, sa classroom, tayo ang nagde-determine kung anong ituturo as a teacher, anong dapat gawin ng teacher. Pero yung pag-communicate with the parents and the lolos and the lolas and the mentors at home, outside of the classroom, that is where we really need help to communicate all these new ways of learning delivery. And I myself, if they're afraid, I am also afraid. And because I also have a grandchild, takot din ako. Pero that is what life is all about, to face your fears, to face your anxieties, to find ways of dealing with all of these things, and we have to train the children how to handle these changes. Yung sinasabi sa batas na acceptance of change. Ang hirap mag-accept ng change. Lalo na sa mga mature people, ang hirap kung baguhin mo lang yung location lang ng kama, yung position ng table, yung pagsara ng bintana o buksan ba yung bintana. Malaking bagay yun na may mga nakasanayan na tayong pamamaraan, no? Pero ito, it's a whole new world. Iba, it's a whole new normal, and this is it. We have to live with it as best as we can, and I have every confidence that we will succeed.
Thank you, ma'am. Last online question po before we go to Laila. How about daw po yung mga teachers who are included as high risk, yung mga may hypertension, diabetes, pregnant, who are advised to stay home? Will they be given consideration po not to have face-to-face class?
Kailangan yan i-discuss with the principals kasi ang mga principal superintendents alam yung individual cases ng mga teachers. At saka nasa kultura natin yan. These are things we don't want. I personally don't want to let go of yung not only being human but also being humane, no? So usually alam ko na we normally give considerations for the conditions of teachers, di ba? Alam naman natin na halimbawa may high blood pressure, bakit natin patayuin sa init ng ilang oras diyan kung face to face man. Alam natin na diabetic, bakit palagi tayo nagsiserve ng mga sweet na pagkain. At saka alam natin na overall we have aging teachers, bakit hindi natin i-impose talaga na require the physical examination, yung annual, yung mga ganon, those are individual cases which should be taken care of at the level of the school. Dahil alam nila naman ang mga conditions ng mga teachers. Also, you have ang alam ko, ang mga halimbawa, you have principals organizations, you have supervisors organizations, and superintendents organizations, RDs organizations. More or less, they take care of each other. And at the level of Deped also, if there are teachers who really are injured or need assistance in line of duty, then we do our best. We try to also generate help from outside. That is what we do not want to lose. Ayaw natin yan. Minsan, nalalaman na lang natin, tapos na. May nagawa na at the level of the school, at the level of the region. Halimbawa, yung mga COVID victims, hindi naman sila tumakbo sa central office. At the regional level, they took care of those who were ill. Sana hindi natin yan walain. Dahil new normal na tayo, the new normal that we should have would be, as said, an even more humane new normal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, ang susunod na magtatanong po ay si Laila Chicadora ng TV5. Laila?
Yes, Laila.
Good afternoon, teachers. Good afternoon, classmates. Ma'am, ano po yung essential subjects na tinatawag natin? And syempre, wala na tayong PE, wala na ring HE. Kapag po ganun, paano po yung grading system? Non-applicable o pasado na po ba siya? Paano po yung grading system sa mga yon, ma'am?
Mayroong move sa Senado na todo pasa, no? Dahil unusual ang situation ngayon, pass everybody. That was proposed as early as March, and we have strongly opposed that because we do not have a policy of passing everybody. That's not fair to those who study, those who do the assignments, kasi there might be those who will also think na anyway papasa naman ako. I don't agree with that. We will have to evolve. And kami naka-adjust kami doon kung paano mag-compute ng grado. we came out with a formula na which we believe is also fair and which will be a basis for determining if a child deserves to pass or not. Pero yung todo pass, I'm sorry, I would not really advise that. Oo. Parang wala nang ano, hindi wala nang value yung pag-aaral mo. Kasi anyway, papasa ka naman eh. Oo. Saka, pag halimbawa, maghanap ka ng trabaho, sasabihin mo high school graduate ka or elementary graduate, wala nang value yung pagka-high school graduate mo because you are just like any other high school graduate. Pareho lang naman kayo lahat. So, how do you differentiate? No? So, ayun, hindi pa rin kami sang-ayon dyan. So, right now, I'm very sure, considering how hard our curriculum people work together with our USEX, they can work out a formula for determining whether a child deserves to move on to the next level of grade or not. So, maano naman yan, yung panahon nga ng gera, na-determine nila ngayon pa kaya. Oo. With all our advances in education.
Paano po ma'am yung PE and HE? Those are not considered as essential subjects po.
Pwede
Well, sige, si Yusek, parang narinig ko yung boses ni Yusek Nepo.
Yusek
Yes, ma'am. Merong inilabas, hindi pa lang sinasa publiko pero binigay na sa mga regional directors namin. Yung binabanggit ni Secretary na from 10,000 learning competencies ay na-reduce to 4,000 learning competencies. These are across learning areas and across grade levels. At hindi ito ginagawa ngayon lamang kung hindi part ito ng produkto ng curriculum review na dinirect na ni Secretary almost 2 years ago. Kaya nga naging madali dun sa Bureau of Curriculum Development na i-compress ang curriculum to the most essential competencies ay may mga pag-aaral na sila na ginawa. So yung mga overlaps, yung mga unnecessary competencies, yung pwedeng emerge, yun yung ginawa nila at imamap doon yung mga learning resources at i-orient yung mga guro paano ituturo. Doon din gagawin yung mga self-learning activities at home, kung distance learning, at may assessment tools din na gagamitin sila para makapagbigay ng grado. Siguro yung tinatanong mo ay yung sa physical aspect ng PE. At actually, yan namang physical aspect ay maaring gawin din sa bahay. Hindi yan kailangan necessarily ay nasa loob ng eskwelahan. So, ang nakita ko ay sa inilabas ng curriculum and instruction ay saklaw lahat ng learning areas, all grade levels. Ang hindi na lamang nila patapos dun sa nakita ko ay yung PBL sa senior high school kasi yun talaga ay kailangang may component na nasa workshop, yung mga textbook students for some of the textbook track. Pero I'm sure na sabi nga ni Secretary, they're working double time to address this. So lahat ay covered pa rin ng mga asignatura. Pinompress, pinaigsit, tinanggal yung mga overlaps in the learning competencies in what is called most essential learning competencies. Thank you.
Okay po. Ma'ams and sirs, kung sa TV and radio yung education natin, yung mode of education, and this will be on a national scale, magkakaroon po ba tayo ng regional? Kasi ang iniisip ko, baka magkaroon din tayo ng language barrier kung yung gagamitin nating language, like for example, kung puro Filipino lang or puro English, mas okay po ba kung kapag regional yung language is local din?
Of course, kasi mayroon tayong batas na from kinder to grade 3, mother tongue eh. So it has to be in the language of the area. At saka may mga materials na na-develop. But these have to be adjusted para magamit sa television. Kasi ibang format ang TV, ibang format din ang radio. The thing is, may mga groups na may experience dyan. Wala sila sa DepEd, hindi sila lahat taga DepEd, no? Pero they're doing these TV programs, radio programs since forever, and experiensyado na sila kung paano progress yung teaching process. Pero yung language, that's covered by the language policy. Ang starting po sa English is grade 4. Kinder to grade 3, it's the mother tongue. Tama ka, mas mahirapan silang mag-adjust kung diretso ka agad sa English ba o national language. So yun.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, kailan po ulit yung enrollment for transferees and late enrollees? And pwede po bang mag-enroll yung mga private school students sa public school since nagkaroon din tayo ng malaking financial crisis, yung ibang mga parents hindi na rin kakayanin na makapag-enroll sa mga private schools for the next school year, ma'am?
Well, that happens every year na may migration. Mayroon namang galing sa public school, lilipat sa private, may galing sa private, lilipat sa public. And that depends, I think, I believe on the availability of space. Kasi may mga preferred schools. Any parent or any mother or lola is very particular about the school that his or her child enters. So, kailangan yan, depende sa availability ng space. So, sasabihin sa iyo na, ay wala ng space dito, we suggest you go to this kind of school. Ang isa ding consideration yan is convenience also, yung malapit sa bahay para hindi na mamamasahe. Most children go to the schools nearest their homes dahil marami sa kanila naglalakad lang o nagta-tricycle. So, ito lahat have to be taken into consideration. And yun nga ang isang observation yan sa TWG ng IATF na there might be a migration of children from private schools to public schools because of the as an impact of the economic crisis, no? Pero ayun, yung capacity din ng public school to absorb them has to be considered kasi I said, there are preferred schools also. Mayroong gusto ng parents na saan na public school sila pupunta o hindi. Kaya this is where the queuing comes in. As early as January, nag-umpisa na tayo. June 1 to 30 is for those who want to transfer and gustong humabol. Titingnan kung ma-accommodate ba o hindi. And I'm sure it's going to be quite tough, no? Kung magiging totoo itong projection ng NEDA TWG group na baka magkaroon ng migration, and we have to consider all these factors.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, question tungkol po sa tuition fees ng private school. Maaari po bang mas bababa yung mga tuition fees for private school since lessening maintenance, wala na mga miscellaneous, yung mga bata more on nasa bahay na sila on several days of the school year? Saklaw po ba ng DepEd yun, ma'am?
Ang nag-approve niya na would be at the level of the regional director. Pero for increase in tuition fee, yung decrease in tuition fee, that's their decision nila yon. And usually, ina-advertise nila yan and to attract, na-attract naman yung mga students and their parents. So, decision nila yon. No problem of reduction of tuition fee. Ang medyo may challenge is yung kung i-increase because it has to be approved and reviewed. Dahil the law says that 70% of any increase in tuition fee has to go to the salaries of teachers. Oo, mayroong ganong klaseng provision. So, re-reviewin yan. Pero pag reduction, well, that's a decision that the school owners make usually.
Okay. Ma'am,
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead, Leila. Okay.
Sige po. Last question na po. Para sa mga teachers po na gagamitin yung mode of online learning, are you considering internet allowance? Kasi kung magiging online po yung mga teachers natin and they are at home, syempre hindi naman po free yung ating wifi. Bibili rin sila ng load or magpapakabit sila ng connection. Are we considering additional allowances for our teachers regarding that?
Alam mo, Day, mayroon silang allowance for chalk, which has been increased, no? And maybe the expenses for chalk can be used for other necessary, ano yung sinabi mo, mga fees. But we have negotiated also with the two telcos na libre ang paggamit ng mga users ng halimbawa sa Deped Commons, paggamit ng Deped Commons, nag-commit na sila na hindi nila pababayaran yon. So, mas fair naman ang teachers. But as I said, I'm just talking from the top of my head na there has been an increase in the chalk allowance, no? And we all know that hindi naman ngayon also ang chalk. It's also bad for the health and those with asthma. Oo. So, pwede siguro tingnan yan para mabigyan naman ng magiging realistic naman yung kanilang expenses. Kasi mga school, and besides may MOOE naman. Ang MOOE is the maintenance and operating expenditures of schools which are held by the principal, no? May pera sila at their level kasi binibigyan sila ng autonomy to spend as they wish. So yung mga paggagamit ng supplies, hindi naman siguro gagamit ng papel at saka yung sinasabi nila, binibigyan sila ng ilang pirasong ballpen, baka yung ballpen na bibigay, load na. Yung mga ganon, kasi mayroon naman talagang MOE expenses, mayroon chalk allowance na pwedeng intended for school use na pwede namang magamit nila for the new normal.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Yan. Thank you.
Thanks,
Good
Laila.
questions.
Before we proceed kay Ina, may mga comment po dito. Sabi ni Mary Annalyn Valenzuela Miguel, one of our online followers, ma'am. Accept changes, live with it as best as we can. Essential learning daw, yung 4Cs daw, ay napaka-importante. Thank you very much, Secretary Briones. And then, God bless you, Secretary Briones, and the press from Marilu Del Moro. Ma'am, last na po, si Ina. Ina?
Focus.
Hello.
Hi. Saan na? Hindi ko makita. I cannot see your face.
Ayan na po. Nakasingit na din.
Baka bagong mukha
Hello
na
po.
naman. Iba na naman ang buhok.
Hindi po. Ma'am, follow up lang po on the enrollment procedure kasi meron po tayong documentary requirements, especially for the incoming kinder, grade 1, grade 11 students. Since we're in an emergency, mawi-waive po ba tong documentary requirements na to?
Siguro si Yusek Nepo dahil siya ang abogado, pwede siyang sumagot niyan. Ang perspective yan ng parents, ha, Nepo?
Motion to postpone, ma'am.
Ready yung abogado, ma'am.
Motion to reset to a later date. Ilalabas yung unang pagka naman within the same school ay ang records ay are with the school. So ang kailangan namin talagang malaman ngayon at bukod dyan natatrack naman namin through the LIS. So kung may mga transferees, doon tayo magkakaroon ng mga ibig sabihin ang mga decision on whether we will defer the submission of some of the credentials. And the Department of Education has done that many times already in the context of emergencies, whether it was in Marawi, dito sa Taal, and so on, kung kinakailangan. Pero ibig sabihin, very crucial yung magiging outcome ng ating initial response to the enrollment rollout in June 1 to June 30. So it will be included in the very broadly in the what you call this the school calendar memo, but there will be a separate memorandum for the enrollment that will include the details that you say. Pero tingin ko ngayon premature pa to talk about the uh, presence or absence of credentials and waiving that. But the DepEd has done that in many instances already based on the situation.
Thank you, Nepo. I was about to say that we have precedents. Pero ito mga for short periods lang, like Marawi, how many months, they allow the kids to enroll without documentation, Taal and all that. Pero ito ngayon, we are not sure how long this pandemic will last. So that is the consideration. Pero dapat magandang question yan kasi dapat pag-isipan natin yan kung complete o incomplete ang documents, tanggapin pa rin natin yung bata. Oo. Pero may precedents. Definitely may precedents.
Ma'am, nag-start na po yung summer classes today and also meron pong mga estudyante na hindi pa nila natatanggap yung mga final grades nila and report cards nila. So, paano po ba yung directive natin sa teachers kung paano yung pagbibigay ng grades dun sa mga bata? Kasi they wouldn't know kung na-promote sila or kailangan nilang mag-take ng summer classes.
Well, that is a good reminder to us. Kasi mayroon naman tayo, di ba, Nepo, sa ating school calendar, yung pag-submit ng report of grades. Kung wala pa silang grades, then dapat i-verify natin kung bakit wala pa silang grades. Or baka mga incomplete yan. Usually, ang problemado yung mga incompletes na hindi nakaka-comply with the requirements. So, wala silang grado. Nepo?
Yeah, siguro dun yan sa remediation guidelines, nabanggit mo na yan na in-issue ng DepEd recently. Actually, sa totoo, ang talagang focus ng paghahanda ng Department of Education ay sa pagbukas ng school year sa August 24. At I'm sure that we will, kung hindi man mahabol yung mga remediation classes, dahil ang problema nga ngayon is yung distance learning na mas malaki at part of that ay dito pa talaga binabalangkas kaya nga inatras to August 24. And so even the remediation that is being done is not going to be done in the usual na meron silang face-to-face. So baka meron tayong mga areas na hindi pa ganong handa dyan. So kung hindi umabot dito sa summer na ito ay maaring ma-carry over yan. May 2 buwan pa naman tayo ng June and July. So ibig sabihin, ito naman ay dun sa mga bata na nagkaroon ng problema nung bagsak nga na mga subjects and we hope ay hindi naman ganun marami yan. But you're correct because of the parang ito yung mas mauuna dun sa distance learning implementation. And nabanggit na nga ni Secretary na ang laki ng paghahanda namin. So malamang masasama yung mga hindi makakaagapay dun sa distance learning. But certainly, before August 24, if we need to have dun sa lalabas, by the way, na school calendar, while August 24 ang yung pag-umpisa ng formal instruction, yung the whole month of August ay kasama na sa class days to be able to do the preparation. Ibig sabihin, orientation, paano, mobilizing. So malamang mayroon pang mga remediation activities or interventions during that month kung hindi umabot dito sa Mayo dahil nga kailangan ng new modes, ng new materials for these new modes. Kahit yung mga assessment tools ay kailangang i-recast in relation to distance learning options.
Sir, sa ano po, sa tuition increase, meron na ba tayong initial data how many schools have applied and were approved to implement tuition increase sa private schools?
Kailangan nating makuha yan sa governance and operations dahil sila ang humingi ng summary ng mga applications sa regions. Ang mga pagtataas ng tuition fee ay nakabatay sa standards ng criteria kung kailangan nilang ipakita yung necessity for the tuition, not just the necessity but where they will use it. May mga percentages that it will be used for increasing the salaries of teachers and so on. So, iano pa yan, hindi pa namin nakukuha. But I think some of the applications were as early as last year. So, it's just a matter of getting this data. Tangan nga lamang kami ay, ibig sabihin, all our focus now is to try to finish the guidance to all our stakeholders in field para mabuksan ng maayos yung darating na school year. But we will ask the field GovOps to already consolidate the reports from the regions on applications for tuition fee increases. Thank you.
How about yung sa senior high school voucher program? Kailan po tayo mag-start ng application for private schools?
Ma'am, about the voucher?
Yes.
Ikaw
na yung sikanan sumagot.
Opo, thank you ma'am. We will wait for the result of the survey, Ina. Importante kasi na malaman natin yung sinasabi kanina na possible migration of the private school students to the public. That is our expectation, but we still don't know kung ano yung mangyayari. Some will also, and this is of course depend choice ng ating mga parents, no? Kaya nga kami nagbibigay ng ganitong orientation and awareness of what will happen in the learning continuity plan. May mga parents na hindi natin alam ano magiging desisyon. Will they opt for the public schooling system or baka nga meron pang lumipat sa private school kasi may capacity already na sila for the learning or the online platform. So we do not know, but we will wait until the result of the June enrollment and then we will have a separate issuance. Kagaya po ng ginagawa natin, marami rin po nakikinig ngayon pala ma'am from the private school. They're giving some feedback in the Facebook comments natin. Hintayin po natin kung ano yung a form of consultation that we are doing. Dito po, lalabas po yung procedure and processing. Ang pinakamaganda yung tanong ni Ina, kailan? Of course, we will have the appropriate time. Probably 2 months before, give us the result muna. And then, isa pa is yung availability of funding. Idagdag ko lang na 1.4 billion of our voucher program was withdrawn by the Department of Budget and Management and was given to the Bayanihan Law Fund. So, isa po yon sa titingnan natin. But, kaka-approve lang ho ng IATF na kayo po yung unang binigyan ng good news ni Secretary. Kailangan din po namin isubmit din ito sa DBM. Kasi financing the LCP is a great factor nung success or ng implementation natin. Dahil marami tayong gagawin ng mga activities and a lot are already asking sino magpo-provide ng modules, kailan to magiging available, ano yung mga bagong practices at methodologies na mangyayari. Siyempre meron po itong equivalent na costing. Yan po yung ginagawa namin ngayon. And it will take time kasi una, magre-rearrange or magre-reprogram tayo ng existing natin na pondo. Pangalawa, kung meron hong mga bagong activity dito, papaalam natin to sa Department of Budget and Management. And related to the voucher, kailangan naming malaman ano yung magiging trend. So, bago tayo makapagsabi na open na yung online application, kailangan namin malaman ang mga sagot sa mga components na itong sinabi ko. Pero wag po mag-alala, kagaya rin ng dati nating sinasabi, pag kayo ay presently voucher recipient na, hindi nyo kailangan mag-apply kasi automatic yan na eligibility ninyo. Ang kailangan lang mag-apply ay yung mga bago. At alam nga natin, ibig sabihin nun, mga bago means from public school, they will go to private school. And we have a new environment. Ganun nga ba ang mangyayari? We will find out after the June enrollment na amin pong gagawin dito sa Department of Education.
Ma'am, clarification lang, 1.4 billion ang tinanggal ng DBM sa voucher program para ilagay sa bayanihan. Tama po ba? That's for
Yes.
2020. 2021.
2020.
2020 po.
2020 budget.
I guess po.
Nadagdagan din naman kasi yan ng Kongreso. Wala na po yung exact amount ngayon niya. So, hindi naman siya dapat worrisome. Ibig sabihin, mayroon kami talaga ng programa in 2020 na dagdagan to more than 1.4 billion. Sorry lang, wala ako lang nung concrete figure, pero it's bigger than 1.4 billion. Meron pa rin more or less about mga 2 billion na additional funding compared to the original fund. So, dapat yata mga 4 billion yung aming pondo na nadagdag for 2020. Pero kinuha yung 1.4. So, more or less about 2 billion is still available as an increase or additional funding for 2020.
Ina, let me just interrupt you for a while lang.
Okay.
There are some comments po from online. Thank you, Deped family, for very informative and insightful press briefing. Some issues and concerns were clarified and reiterated from Loie Lupos. At saka sabi po ni Felina Ilagan, still watching from Nauhan, Oriental, Mindoro, ma'am. So, before we proceed po, ma'am, I think may meeting po yung susunod pa. We would like to ask po for your closing statement.
Siguro napakahaba na kasi ng opening statements ko. Dapat wala ng closing statement. May dalawa pa akong meeting. Isa alas 12 sa Executive Secretary, and then another one also with IATF at 1 o'clock. So, nagpapasalamat kami dahil napakalaking bahagi. Communications has always been important. Communications has always been crucial. Natutunan ko ito even before DepEd. Sa panahon ng ako ay member ng civil society, yung aming advocacy for social development. Ang press naman ang nagdala, ang communications peoples ang nagdala na wala na isang kusing na bayad, walang bribery involved, lumaki yung issue ng debt because of communications. Ngayon, lalong nagiging importante ang communications dahil sinasabi natin na we are in this new normal na bagong-bagong word na enjoy tayong gamitin. Kasi siyempre, who likes old normal ba? But of course, we recognize that there are many things about old normal which are very useful and which we also don't want to lose and which we want to bring to the new normal. Minsan natatakot tayo, minsan hindi natin alam kung anong gagawin natin. Minsan we feel na hindi natin masosolve itong problems ngayon dahil sobrang dami yung sinasabi natin, yung mga unknowns. Hindi kagaya ng equation sa algebra or a problem in physics. Dahil masosolve mo kung may formula ka. Kung mayroon kang data, mayroon kang big data, then you find the answers. It's not like that because we are going to implement solutions in the framework of our existing administrative system, particularly in the Department of Education. We are trying to solve problems in a environment of very sensitive political and social reactions to whatever government does or does not do. So kailangan talaga namin ng tulong sa pag-communicate nitong ating programa sa Department of Education because it can always be easily misunderstood. Tulad halimbawa noong August 24, knee-jerk reaction, paano na yan, etc. Yung mga bata, papadala mo sa mga unsafe schools. Ang hindi nila nakita na yung sentence na nagsasabi na ang August 24 can be virtual, hindi lamang yung ang tinatawag nating face-to-face. No? Sinasabi, ano na yung mga gamit, kailangan ganito, ganyan, wala namang interconnectivity. Ang hindi din nila nakita na sinasabi natin na there are other ways of delivering learning like television. And television has been around for a very long time. Ang mga bago itong mga learning platforms at saka cellphones. And as I said, right now there are more cellphones than humans in the Philippines. Sobrang dami talaga ng mga cellphones. So, second choice yan. Sa TV has always been around. Yung nga lang, it has to be developed in such a way that it is interesting and it is exciting. Kasi there are other television programs which are much more exciting for a child or for a parent. Now, ang nakikita natin na talaga yung walang TV, walang cellphone, which is also difficult to accept, ay ang radyo which has been around for ever so long, panahon pa ng World War. Sinabi ko kanina na yung nag-inspire sa mga Pilipino in World War II na we were under another country, ang words na I shall return, hindi naman yun sinabi by text, hindi naman sinabi yun sa telebisyon, hindi naman sinabi sa platform, sinabi yun sa radyo. Saka yung end ng World War II, hindi rin yun sinabi sa telebisyon. Yung The Eagle has landed, no? Yung sinabi na dumating na yung final stages of the war at that time, no. So radio is around. Ang malaking challenge is to convert and to shape the alternative delivery modes into interesting, into exciting, and into effective ways of transmitting knowledge. And that is where we need your help. We will be holding regular press conferences so we get feedback from you. Now, nag-iisip ako, alam na ninyo naman ang ugali ko. I always think, ano bang istorya nung bata pa kayo at saka nung bata pa ako, which has meaning for us at this time. Siyempre, sino ba sa inyong hindi nakapanood ng Aladdin and the Wonderful Lamp? It was the first book I read when I was about 7 or 8 years old. The original English translation of Sir Richard Burton, buong 1001 Nights, no? Anong kinanta ni Lea Salonga doon? A whole new world. Kita nila yung whole new world of wonderful people, of wonders. And then, those of you, pagdating niyo sa college, of course, you are familiar with Shakespeare, no? Yung one of his plays, The Tempest, sabi doon ng bida na si Miranda, yung dinala na siya sa city and she was so impressed and she also talked, ito, mas maganda ito, a brave new world. So we are going into a new normal because we are creating a brave new world and we have to start with the children to give them courage, to give them initiative, to help them look at problems realistically, and to continually have hope and confidence that we will overcome. So on to the brave new world. Thank you.
Maraming salamat, ma'am. Yun, magkapatuloy pa rin po ang ating press conference. Sabi ni Yolinda Perla, God bless po, Ma'am Secretary. Si Maria Jovita Basilio Simpson, God bless you, our dear Department Secretary for the Enlightenment. Stay healthy po. From Tortugas Elementary School, SDO Balanga City, hashtag new normal. Maraming salamat, ma'am. And back to the questions po ng kasamahan natin, si Ina.
Akala ko closing na yung kay ma'am.
Hindi, kasi I have to leave for my next meeting. I'm going to be on a meeting with ES and then afterwards my meeting sa IATF. So kayo nang haharap ng mga lions at lionesses.
Tumayo na ako eh. Brave New World na si
Last
ma'am.
two na lang po.
Bye-bye, see you. Oo, pero nandiyan si ano. Pwede niyong anuhin
Bye,
yung
ma'am.
dalawang yan. Sige.
A new brave new world. Ay.
Brave New World. Tempest, basahin ninyo by Shakespeare. Prospero and Miranda ang ano dyan. Oo. Tapos Whole New World ni Aladdin. Pag hindi ninyo nabasa si 1001 Nights, ibalik ko kayo sa high school.
Sige po. Sir, follow up lang po dun sa learning continuity plan for younger children like yung preschool, kinder, meron po bang nakaspecify dun sa LCP natin kung ano po yung gagawin sa kanila because we can't expect them na mag-adjust dun sa like online learning or blended learning. Meron po bang specific directives on younger learners?
May specific section discussing the challenge for K to 3. And I think that is one similar to the tech book naman track for senior high school na kailangan sa workshop ay itong K to 3 din ang kailangang tingnan ng mabuti. Ang nakita ko just recalling ay yung pagkakaroon ng syempre ang una diyan ay may kakayahan ba yung tahanan na magbigay ng commitment na gabayan yung mga anak nila. So kung merong may kakayahan na gano'n, then magkakaroon ng partnership yung ating mga guro at saka yung mga magulang o any of the household members to guide their children. Kung naman wala ay yun ang kailangan tingnan kung pwedeng may learning facilitators tayo kung hindi man guro. Dahil ang problema dito ay hindi nga mapapagsama-sama kung nasa bahay yung mga bata. So kung talagang distance learning ay mahirap. Kaya importante din yung combination.
Stop.
Kaya importante din yung combination ng local risk assessment dahil may nakita din ako na natatandaan ko doon na some of the areas near the homes ay pwede talagang papuntahin ang mga bata doon sa physical space na malapit under very close guidance kung nando naman sa areas na hindi high risk. Dahil ang makikita natin din at the national level ay we're moving towards a localized risk classification at ang tingin ko na umpisahan na yan nung partly nung EO 112 na merong identified na high, moderate, and low. So hindi naman natin pinag-usapan yung buong bansa as a particular way. For example, one example of the adjustments. Kung may mga year levels ka na mas may capacity for may capacity for self-directed learning, yung mas advanced years na, edi pwedeng sa physical space ay ang i-prioritize mo ay yung lower grades para mas matutukan ng mga teachers. You can have more spaces available if there will be less use by the set of students that can attend that can do self-directed learning at home. What I'm trying to say is hindi pwede na may one size fits all tayo na approach at yan na nga ang malaking magiging papel ng ating mga regions, divisions, and schools. At even as we talk, dahil nakailang beses naman na meeting na tinatalakay yung LCP at the management committee level, ay at this time ay alam ko na yung mga regions ay nagbabalangkas na rin ng kanilang contextualized LCPs kung paano talaga nila gagawin on the ground. Nabanggit nga ni Yusek Ann na parang may menu and support mechanism ang focus nitong central LCP, and there will be contextualized LCPs on the ground depending on the situation. Just one point, nabanggit kanina na yung mga nagtatanong, paano yung mga masyadong malayo, walang access to online platforms, etc. Sa totoo, itong mga ito ang dito nag-umpisa ang distance learning sa mga remote areas na ganito na nahihirapang pumunta sa eskwela. So minsan mas may kakayahan sila, but through printed modules talaga, self-learning modules. Kasi ang una naman talagang pinag-umpisahan ng distance learning hindi dito sa mga urbanized centers kung hindi in the remote areas. So it's just a conception now na pag sinabing distance, immediately ang naiisip natin ay online platform. And obviously, yung access dyan ay hindi universal access. Thank you.
Ina, wala kang audio.
Audio, yeah.
Yeah. Last na lang po, on the movement of K-12 review, last March daw po initially dapat ilalabas yung parang partial result. Ano pong movement natin dun sa K-12 review?
What you mean K-12 review ng curriculum?
Program. Yes po. K-12 program po.
Actually, kanina lang nagme-meeting kami nung some of the partners that were helping the BCD. Na-accelerate nga yan kasi nga, as we mentioned, naglabas yung BCD part of the LCP ay yung pag-compress ng learning competencies of K-12 from about 10,000 learning competencies across grade levels and across learning areas up to the core competencies except for TVL ay na-reduce by as much as almost by 60% ang learning competencies. At ang isang usapan dyan ay, as I mentioned, that was made possible by the initial stages of curriculum review. So na-accelerate ng kaunti, hindi pa tapos yung full review at yun nga yung pag-uusapan dahil baka naman mag-swing tayo to the minimization from congestion. So I think there will still be an opportunity to have a more longer term expression of the curriculum post dito sa COVID-19. But many of us in the department, I'm sure even Undersecretary San Antonio of Curriculum Instruction, myself, and the Secretary also mentioned this kanina, yung issues ng congestion. Welcome the fact that we have been compelled right now to accelerate the adjustments in the curriculum. So, lumampas pa dun sa naging target ng curriculum review dahil 4 na phases yon, and we are still not finished with the third and fourth phases. Pero we have no choice but to, sabi nga ni Secretary kanina, we cannot let our fears take the commanding line for the actions natin dito. And we have to find a way, and part of the adjustments that are being made is with the compression of the K-12 curriculum. So you will see. Kikita ko lang because we're looking at the annexes to the LCP. Baka hindi may print ito. It might be distributed in yung curriculum, yung recast curriculum kasi ang kita ko 577 pages ito . So baka this will just be provided online.
Sige sir. Thank you so much po.
Maraming salamat, Ina. I think may mga additional questions po si Jasmine, sir, ma'am. Jasmine?
Baka uwian na tayo.
Jasmine? Still online?
Hi. Kala ko uwian
Ayun.
na talaga. Meron lang po nagpapatanong na viewer. Ang tanong niya po ay, are CAT or any leadership training will be pushed through? If this will push through, who will provide the things, modules, competencies that the student should learn or follow? Is a DepEd communication between AFP and DepEd regarding leadership training? Is there communication between AFP and DepEd learning leadership training classes?
Yan yung mga aspects that will have to be discussed. In other words, yung mga naihanda ngayon ay yung kumbaga yung main portions, at may nakalagay doon sa ating school calendar na all curricular and extracurricular activities. So kung depende kung siya ay nakapaloob sa formal instruction, kung nasa formal instruction siya ay na existing learning competencies ay di kasama siya sa maituturo. Pero kung ito involves activities that can be regarded as co-curricular or extracurricular at involves a gathering of the students, then maaring kasama siya dun sa mga canceled aspects ng hindi exhaustive yung list doon. Ang nailista lang ay yung mga events like National Festival of Talents, mga trade fairs, etc. So may mga gray areas pa itong learning continuity plan na ito, and it's good that that was raised, and it's a matter that we will raise with both curriculum and development as well as our regions. I think there are aspects of the situation also that might be conducive to teaching some of the, let's say, leadership learning competencies, for example, kung kasama siya sa curriculum. I mean, the response, for example, to the COVID-19 sometimes is a very good teaching moment for specific learning competencies through activities. And actually, may nagkaroon ng relaxation dito dun sa pag-define ng class days ng DepEd, kasi hindi lang strictly inside the classroom ngayon ang definition ng class days. So in other words, posibleng it creates a limitation dun sa mga nabanggit mo, but at the same time, meron ding possible flexibilities that might be open. Pero as I mentioned, madami pang mga gray areas na kailangang pag-usapan ang field on how to implement all of the just to emphasize, Jasmine, na yung LCP, for example, is directional in nature. It provides where to go, but yung implementation and operationalization of going there, yun na nga ang kailangan natin itong pagka-issue nitong school calendar, pagka-approve finally ni Secretary LCP, then we will move towards the operationalization phase, and we have the entire almost 3 months before the schools formally open in August to fill in the remaining gaps.
Okay. Salamat po.
All right. Thank you so much, Jasmine. Siguro dito na nagtatapos yung ating press con. I would like to ask Yusek Ann for her closing statement po. Ma'am?
May closing statement pa pala kami. Okay, sige. Siguro first is to thank all our media partners, our public, of course yung DepEd family also, who joined us in the live streaming. As said by the Secretary, importante po yung communication, yung mensahe. Inuulit-ulit po namin, hindi tayo gagawa ng hakbang na makukompromiso ang ating health protection, well-being, yung safety ng lahat. Lahat po ng sasabihin ng IATF and DOH na makakasiguro na tayo ay magiging healthy and protected ay susundin ng DepEd. However, hindi po natin kaya na mag-intay na lamang. Sabi nga ni Ma'am, puro uncertainty tayo ngayon. Lahat ay assumption. But the thing that we need to teach our children, especially at this time, is to be creative, to be critical. And of course, ito yung panahon na kahit po wala sila sa physical na eskwelahan, ay pwede nating i-turn ang ating sariling bahay na eskwelahan din. At yun po ay malaking responsibilidad para sa ating mga magulang at kasama ng mga bata. Pero sabay-sabay po natin itong gagawin. Ang DepEd will continue to function as it is mandated, no, to have quality learning. Alam natin mahirap at hindi po to basta-basta at ganong kabilis, hindi rin to automatic. Lahat po tayo kailangan ng paghahanda. At yung paghahandang po yan ay gagawin namin on our part. But of course, the other half is at your hand. Kaya kami po ay hihingi ng sinasabi nga nating bayanihan spirit. Ito po ay gagawin natin through DepEd, through the national government, but of course with the parents and the community. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, Yusek Ann. And the closing statement po ni Yusek Nepo. Sir?
Happy Mother's Day sa belated sa lahat. And wag na muna mag-closing dahil mahaba-habang pagpapaliwanag itong gagawin natin in the coming days of how the adjustments will be made. So magandang tanghali sa inyong lahat.
Alright, thank you so much, ma'am. Maraming salamat, sir. Napakaganda ng sinabi ni Secretary. We need to face this brave new world together. At mas kakayanin ito kung tayo ay magbabayanihan, sabi nga ni Yusek. And at this point, maraming salamat po sa pagsama sa amin ngayong araw na ito. Maraming salamat sa ating mga resource speakers, sa ating mga kasamahan sa media, at mga libo-libong nakasubaybay sa DepEd Philippines. Ako po si Jun Arvin Godoy, ang inyong moderator sa presscon na ito. Maraming salamat at magandang hapon po.